Okay, deer season's coming up. It's getting pretty close, and I was getting all my camera stuff out and figured I would make a video showing you what type of mounts I use for my cameras. Mostly my ground cameras. Of course, the tree camera, you either use some sort of camera arm like this Gorilla camera arm, which I used for years, or a Muddy, or maybe even another company out there. Those are basically, most of them are the same. The biggest difference would be, you know, you having a fluid head on it or having just a static head that doesn't have any fluid in it. I would recommend the fluid heads. They're not as expensive as you would think they would be. This one cost me, I bought it used, and it's a really good head, and I think I paid 50 bucks for it, which is well worth it. But, you know, like I said, most people have basically the same design of their camera arms for your tree cameras. But what I want to talk about is your ground cameras. A lot of people are starting to do that. I've been doing it for a few years. You get some really cool footage with them. I've actually got a decent video on my channel here that shows a doe really up close and personal when I shoot her. I'll put it on this video, a link to it. But let's talk about it. You have your GoPros. I've actually got Sports View 360, which I've had forever, and I really enjoy using it just for the simple use of it. I have a few of these and one of these. Well, you can't just take this out there and lay it on the ground. You got to have some way of it, you know, being mounted to a tree or the ground or whatever. Well, most of your cameras have a 1/4-20 thread on them. Your GoPros don't, but you can buy an attachment, a really cheap attachment that has a 1/4-20 thread on it, which this makes anything you can put a 1/4-20 bolt on, you can use for a dang mount. I've got a couple pieces of PVC that I stick in the ground for use. I've actually got this one that I use for when I go snorkeling. I've got it wrapped in orange tape so I can find it, but it floats, and of course it's got a 1/4-20 in it. That works great. Anything that you can put a 1/4-20 bolt on, you can use for a mount. I guess one of my most useful mounts would be this. It's basically a shooting stick. It's a Hunter Specialties. I think they're like maybe 15 bucks, 19 bucks last time I checked, or something, somewhere in there. It extends out. It has a point on the end of it. It's not that sharp, but it will stick in the ground pretty well. But if you'll take the top of it off, surprise, 1/4-20. You take that and you screw it into your GoPro. You can use it, you can stick it in the ground next to a tree or something and use it. It's very useful. I actually, probably the mount I use the most, because what I'll do is I'll take this right here once I get out of the tree and I'll attach my tree cam to it. That way, when I'm going through the woods, whether I'm tracking a deer or just talking about it, I can set the camera up on here, stick it in the ground, back up, and I can get video footage of me. Instead of having to take these big camera arms down and strapping them to a tree, I can just stick this in the ground. And it works very well. Matter of fact, I mean, good handheld so that you can do your first person. But to me, it's one of the most used tools that I use in the woods when I'm filming. I've also got this one that I like. I've used it like this, actually, on the ground. You can just put it up underneath a bush, or sit it in the middle of a field, or however you want to do it. It's basically, if you'll not look at the camera, it is a mini bow hanger. It'll extend on out, but it doubles as one of my GoPro mounts. Now this one right here, once you screw it in the tree, just like any other bow holder, it'll go this way, it'll extend out, this will go this way, this will go, so it's unlimited, the amount of motion that you have with this thing. It works great, and like I said, you can screw it in the tree and use it, or like I do sometimes, you set it on the ground. It'll sit there wherever you want it to, and you can get some footage. A lot of times I like to set this on the ground and hope that I can get a deer coming this way and get a video. I haven't been able to pull that off yet, but I'm trying. Now, other than your mounts, I guess you noticed I had a USB cord on here. In this house in particular, and on this GoPro, I've got a hole drilled in it and a USB cord epoxied in there. Well, that's for one of these. This is just a battery backup. I started using these bow fishing because I'd get on the boat and then have to change the batteries out and whatnot. Well, this right here, I can just plug it into my GoPro once this is charged, and not only do I have this battery, but I also have the battery in the GoPro. And I have fished for 6 hours on my boat with it on constant record and never had a dead battery. Matter of fact, I've killed this and still had a full charge on this. So I mean, that's a definite must when I'm in the woods. I love to have plenty of battery. You don't want to run out of it. Another thing that's good to have is one of these. Now, my Sports View was the first one I got that had a remote. Basically what it does is it turns the camera on. It has a stop and record. You'll turn the camera on and it'll start recording. The GoPro, on the other hand, I can change all my settings. I can turn the camera off. I can turn the camera on. I can make it record. I can go to pictures, make it take a picture. It has all kinds of functions. Basically, this screen is the same as the screen that's on your GoPro. It works great. The best thing about it is if you've got your camera set up and you don't have to change any settings, this remote will operate, I don't remember how many it said. I want to say it's 50, but it may be more cameras at one time. So if you've got 4 or 5 of these GoPros out in the woods and all around your tree stand and a deer comes in, you hit the power button, hit the record button, they all start recording. You don't have to turn each individual one on. So this is almost invaluable, the remotes are. I know all your GoPro guys, you know, you got all these sticky mounts. I mean, I've got tons of them. And they're great. If you want to stick it to a helmet, or you want to stick it to your cowl on your boat or whatever. But when you're in the woods, you need something that's going to stick to the trees, and that's why I stick to a lot of these things. Whether, you know, like I said, sits on the ground and holds it up, or you got your quarter-20 and all your different things, or if you use some of the traditional things like the bicycle mount, the handlebar mount. They all work well and very simple and easy to make. Now, speaking of simple and easy to make, there's a guy on the Spartan camera pro staff with me that had a video the other day that made use of these items right here to make a heck of a camera mount. Of course, he was using it on his trail cameras, but it'll do the same thing for your GoPros or any other of your sports cameras that have the quarter-20. All it takes is a 3/8 bolt, a nylon spacer, 2 washers, locking nut for your 3/8 bolt, an eyelet with a quarter-20, and an eyelet that's threaded for your trees. And it's very simple. You take your 3/8, you put your washer on, put your eyelet with your threads on it, put your nylon spacer on it, take your other eyelet with your quarter-20, place your other washer on, and your nut. You tighten these up. You tighten them pretty tight, and that's where the nylon spacer comes in, because it allows, even though you get it tight, it allows the stuff to move. But keeps it snug. So then you got this mount that you can screw into a tree, and then you got your quarter-20 that you can place your, you can place your GoPro on. Once you get it straight in there, you lock the lock nut up on it, and there you go. You can loosen it up, turn it to the sides, tighten it back up. You can, with the GoPro it's a little easier, you can tilt it this way, but with your game cameras, they almost all have a 1/4 on the bottom. Do the same thing. You screw it into the tree and you can tilt them. So that takes away from the crooked tree or whatever that you put it on without having to, like I used to do, just stick a stick in behind them or whatnot to level them up. You can just do like this and get them level. Place them anywhere you want to. This one is a small enough camera where you could actually even turn it sideways if you wanted to. That means you don't have to use these straps, which in my opinion, and Drew actually made that point too in his video, I think this is where most of your cameras are spotted, is these straps around the tree and this big long piece hanging or even wrapped around the tree again, however you do it. That right there I think gives away a lot of cameras. I don't use the pythons on many cameras of mine because most of them are in places that no one else goes, or so I think. But I do it on a few of them. But the ones that I don't use the python on, this will be a great way to keep my trail cameras up. Anyway, I hope I taught you something or you took something away from the video. If you want to, you can comment below, let me know. If you have any mounts that might help me out. I'm always looking for new ideas, just simply like this one, like Drew Harden came up with. And if you think that I could improve on some of these, I'd like to know that too. But just comment, let me know what you think, and happy hunting this year.